The mechanisms of antibodies in multiple sclerosis. Antibodies generally exert their functions in MS through various mechanisms. There are four that I will actually discuss. The first one is antibody dependent cellular cytotoxicity, affectionately known as ADCC, also through opsonization and phagocytosis, through the complement activation, as well as neutralization. The first one we will discuss will be the mechanisms of antibodies in multiple sclerosis utilizing ADCC. First thing is recognition. MS leukocytes alone displayed on non-specific natural killers cells. These non-specific glial cells, such as natural killers of the innate immune system, bind to an antigen-bound antibody receptor on the Fc gamma effector cell. What will then happen is inflammation. Binding will release the inflammatory components. The effector cells will activate cytotoxicity and lysis of the target cell. Typically, patients with progressive MS display an elevated ADCC activity against the glial cells. Moving on, another one of the mechanisms of antibodies in multiple sclerosis would be opsonization and phagocytosis. Antibodies specifically bind and opsonize to the myelin antigen, recognizing through the Fc gamma receptor on phagocytes, like the macrophages. Phagocytosis of antigen-antibody complex and the destruction of the tissue. The cell-induced demyelin lesions in MS patients is supported by the EAE brain tissue, which is also which is also damaged. The phagocytes that contains the immunoglobulin and the myelin proteins. Okay, so once we went through the opsonization and the phagocytosis, what will then happen is it will then have the complement activation function, which is binding antibodies that can potentially lead to demyelination. Complement components bind to the antibody structure, activating the complement cascade, and the assembly of the membrane attacks the complex and destruction of the target. So whichever one is the target receptor, that's what it will destroy. In the cerebral spinal fluid, also known as CSF, the immunoglobulin IgG of MS patients mainly contain the IgG1 and the IgG3. Both of these subclasses participate in the activation of the complement cascade. The final one that I will discuss with you will be that of the mechanism of antibodies in multiple sclerosis utilizing neutralization. Antibodies have the ability to neutralize antigens. They are more relevant in neutralization of circulating pathogens. So antigen opsonization, which we discussed previously, is how antibodies prevent the spreading of pathogens. Once they prevent the spreading of the pathogens through the antigen opsonization, they also are stopping the disturbance or the destruction to that of the host cells. So therefore, it won't be able to continue on within the the central nervous system, which is where the disease is actually affected. All right. So those are the mechanisms of antibodies in multiple sclerosis. Thank you.